approving elementary HVAC project on the gym and music room. Those were not replaced when the other units were replaced, and they are original. So I would like to look at that instead of the roofing at this time. So just like to make that change to F.
Okay, so need a motion to approve the consent agenda items, including the meeting agenda, February fund balance statement, minutes of the February 22nd regular meeting, updated substitution teacher list, payments of monthly bills, excluding payments to, go ahead.
Yeah.
Excluding payments of Larry Vinson and Cooper Lumber. Does anyone want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Fleetwood makes the motion. Do I have a second? Michael seconds. Any discussion?
One thing, as we're going to have our 6th grade teachers come in to do a summit learning update. They're going to come in, do the update, and leave. So if they walk in out of order, I would like to go ahead and do that. It might be out of order, but so they can get back to parent-teacher conferences. So I'll hold them here for a long time. That's the only other issue.
Okay. All those in favor? Carries 6-0. Now I need a motion to approve payments to Larry Vincent and Cooper Lumber. Does anyone want to make that motion? Michael makes the motion. Troy seconds. All those in favor? Be 5-0 with 1 abstention.
I didn't even think about Will not being here. Not Larry, sorry. It's my
That's
fault.
all right. Next, we'll go into the communications. Well, they can.
Yeah, we'll let them go
Is that
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, we'll do them.
Come on. Just get in line. Get over there by Owen. Okay?
All right. If they get in here, we'll get them organized.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. Are you okay? Let's come over this way. Come on. Sorry, I just end the barge in. Okay, Ellie, I'm gonna stand you here. Richie here. And here, right here, right here, right there. Come on back here. You can peek between their shoulders, okay? Come on, Eli. Over here. Right there. Right there. Right there. And right there. Come on, Emery. Right here. You're gonna come out in front, so you just step over here. Come this way. All right. Sophie and Kota, come over here, please. Actually, you come on this side because that's how we did it in the classroom. I'm not going to throw you on. Okay? Come on over here. You come right here. Okay.
Okay. So we have Dr. Deegan here,
Hi.
and she is going to talk to us about what we have and will perform for us.
Well, on Tuesday night, this next Tuesday, on the 20th, these folks and all of their classmates will be 100 strong on stage, putting on their yearly concert. And I am doing a bunch of different things with them this year. Each class will do a circle dance. And we are also doing a song with instruments called Tubuabe. It's from Ghana. And we have other songs that we're going to sing too. So I thought that the smartest thing to do would be to go ahead and sing those for you. And then I'll talk a little bit more about the string project. I have 2 representatives from the string project. And I also thought that I would address for you the upcoming concerts for the rest of the school year. So, okay? I'm a little bit tongue-tied here, so I better get doing what I do best. What? Yeah, have them get your stuff ready, right? Oh, they're all set. They're more ready than I am.
Are we doing Tubuabe and organ?
We are doing Tubuabe first, okay? And I need everybody without shouting to sing their loudest. You need to help us sing, okay? You girls, you can take a slow deep breath. Okay? And you're gonna play when I point to you when my hand goes down, not when it's up here, when I'm down here, okay? You already know what to do. Here, ready? Help me sing, okay? Ready, go!
Doo-doo wobbly, doo-doo wobbly, doo-doo wobbly, doo-doo wobbly. Gonna play the female, gonna play the female. Oh, baby, beanie, baby, baby, blue. Oh, baby, beanie, baby, baby, blue. Make a follow.
Good job, guys. This next song is a familiar one. It's called Old Joe Clark. Ready, sing.
Old Joe Clark, he built a house, took him about a week. He built a floor up over his head, a ceiling under his feet. Rock, rock, old Joe Clark, rock, rock, I'm gone. Rock, rock, old Joe Clark, goodbye, we've seen on. Old Joe Clark, he had a dog like none you've ever seen. He had 2 ears and a curly tail, and 6 feet in between. Rock, rock, old Joe Clark, rock, rock, I'm gone. Rock, rock, old Joe Clark, goodbye, we'll see you long. Old Joe Clark, he had a wife, he really loved her true. She had 2 great big brown eyes, the other 2 were blue. Rock, rock, old Joe Clark, rock, rock, I'm gone. Rock, rock, old Joe Clark, goodbye, we'll see you long.
Very good job, guys. Crisscross applesauce. Yep. Every year, kindergarten through 4th grade, each grade level puts on a concert. I feel that it helps with their performance, and it also is time to show off because they do such a great job. And I wanted to go through and tell you what the other concerts were. I was going to print this off, but I had a printer fight with my computer. So on March 20th, as I've already said, I have the 2nd grade concert, and that will be at 7:30 in the PAC building. On April 10th, we have 2 concerts. At 6:30, we have the kindergarten concert, and we also have the 1st grade concert at 7:15. On April 23rd, this is one of the things that is my favorite thing to do. The 4th graders spent the year writing a musical project. And this year, they are going to play and perform all of the pieces of music that they wrote in their classes as teams this year. So each class has 4 teams. One class has 5, that's a little bigger. And that's really fun because the whole class is going to play all of the pieces of music, and we have different instruments besides the recorders playing, xylophones, metallophones, cymbals, all different kinds of things. So I'm really excited about that.
What time's that one?
That one is at 7:30 on April 23rd. Now, April 24th and 26th, I'm going to put a plug in for my band concert folks. And they are having their end of the year concerts then. And then on May 1st, we are having a concert for the program that I actually started in 2007. It turned 10 years old last fall. and that is the Ozark String Project. It's an after-school program. We have over 100 students playing stringed instruments, and I'm very excited about it. And Katie Brooks and Elizabeth Haynes are going to play you a song, the Arkansas Traveler, just to kind of give you a little warm-up for that. Okay, play your first note. Just play it. Take it easy. Okay. I forget what key we're in. What key are we in? G. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, okay? And you take it your speed that you want to go, okay? I'm just your follower, okay? 1, 2, 3.
I don't think people, this doesn't happen. String project, the fourth graders writing their own musical and their own play. This doesn't happen in most schools, and I've been in lots of them. So I just think we need to thank Dr. Deegan for what she does. She has done outstanding. She gets these kids working at such a young age. It makes it so much better, you know, when they played an instrument. When they get to middle school and high school, stepping into band is not that big of a deal because they've been playing
because
instruments.
they're already literate.
Yeah, they've already
know
been
how
playing
to-
instruments for years.
Right.
So I just think we need to recognize that and just thank you again for what you do. And thank you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they came in on their
We really
break, they
appreciate
only had half a day of school today.
We really appreciate you coming back because I know
Thank
you
you.
love school so much.
Good job, everybody, thank you, I've got cookies and juice over there, so let's walk on over, Beautiful job, girl. Oh, that's okay, that's all right.
Good, how are you? I've been good to see you.
Did anybody videotape
This is our quiet exit.
Hey, happy anniversary.
Mrs. Rowe,
Yeah?
I have prepped them that we're going to jump to you as soon as you walked in the room.
Oh, well,
So
thank
we've
you
done
for
the second
that.
grade. You are up.
Okay. Summit? Summit. I'm sorry, excuse me, I thought we were very well prepared because we went to Tulsa and we went into their school. Tulsa, right? Yes. Okay, we went to Tulsa, we went into their school, we went to a 3-day workshop and I thought, we've got this. We were a little surprised. Overall, it's good. It incorporates my curriculum with our GLEs and state. Little bit of surprises. We had to teach them note taking. We did a lot of that. We can make changes to the curriculum. I can add what I do in my class. I can make changes to the curriculum, take questions out, add questions. It's just a tool for me. I really don't use it as my main source of curriculum because we do other things in there. Having the computers to do this program has been really nice because we use it not only for Summit, but for a lot of things in social studies. I appreciate that. Something to add. I like, we do one-on-one mentoring with the students. We really like that because we have 22, 23 in our homeroom. We're with them 4 hours a day. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's a long day, but we really get to know them and they become more like family, and we appreciate that. And then we can look and see where they're at anytime, what they need help with. When they take a test, if they don't pass the test, they can go and look and see what objectives they need to work on. And with those objectives, then it will tell them what they need to read or what video to view that will help them pass and take notes.
Yeah.
Um,
It provides a wealth of resources,
Yes, it does.
and it's great to show mastery in our ELOs. And it gives them multiple opportunities to master. And if they're not able to, then we can go in and see, okay, this is where we're lacking, and this is what we need to do to make sure that they're successful. So, I like that part.
Anything else?
Well, that's where the mentoring comes in. It really benefits them and us because we can see exactly where they're struggling, and then that's where we show them the videos, or we show give them mini study skills and things to help them that they can use this year, and then also take on whenever they aren't able to use Summit or they don't have those resources in front of them. They know how to reach those without having them given to them.
Yeah. It's also building a huge amount of accountability for them, because they can see where they're at and they can see what they need to be on track. And they are owning their learning that way and saying, okay, I've really got to work on this week. I'm going to set this goal. I'm going to meet this goal. And they're able to reflect.
And
on
that's
it later
something
on.
they've really worked on this year too, setting their goals, reaching their goals.
Yeah.
And that's nice. Then we said it's not all rainbows and unicorns.
Sometimes things are hard.
It's tough when someone moves in because they have a bar that they change every area. It has a certain date that it's due by, and we're not in charge of moving that. Summit does it. And then when somebody moves in, they feel like they're behind
But it's because they weren't here
Yeah.
for those
for
things.
that area. And so then it's hard for us to keep track of what they've done versus what they, because they came in on plot, but they've missed knowledge of words, they've missed reading strategies. And they can take those, but it's gonna take them a while to catch up. So it's hard for those students that come in to know where they're at and to keep track of that.
Well, especially because a lot of the students see those red areas, and some of them, it's really good for them to see that because they know where they need to work. But then whenever they come in and they have all these reds, they automatically feel almost like a failure.
Right.
Oh, I'm so behind.
Yeah.
And rather than us, we just have to tell them, you are only required of whenever you came in, and then we have to keep up with all of that. So we wish that we just had a little more control of that area.
It's hard to adapt Summit. They don't provide any modifications for our IEP kiddos, for our kids that are in special education. And so we make modifications obviously with our instruction, but the resources and the accountability, there's a little bit of a gap there. So we wish that we could change that too.
And they have to have 80% to pass a test.
Yep.
Which I feel is good.
Yes.
They could take it as many times, but when they do not pass it the first time, that's when they go back and look at their objectives that they need to work on and what materials are available to help them. And we want them to be successful the second time.
Yeah.
And try to go over that with them so that they can be.
Yeah, we've provided a framework, just an expectation, like if they don't pass it the first time, this is what we have to have before we'll approve them for the second assessment. And that's where the note-taking comes in and the peer pairing and stuff like that, so.
I've never heard you be this quiet.
I've learned after having twin girls and working with all these guys, sometimes it's just better to be quiet. But no, we enjoy it, and the thing, I had to have I had to school them a little bit on some agriculture stuff that was on their science that was a little too far left for me.
They live in,
And,
based in California.
yeah, it's based
So-
in California. And
Yeah.
their cows can't be that happy, so. So, they have very different idea of some thing, you know, especially for a rural community that's, you know, agricultural based. But that's the great thing about it is you can go in there and find those things and say,
Take them out.
take it
Yeah.
out. So it's very flexible and, you know, it was,
And that was important when we were
Sure,
looking at it,
sure.
that we could adjust it to what
Right.
we felt it needed to be. We didn't have, it wasn't standardized that you have to do all of it.
Right,
Because we wouldn't have approved it. We talked about that last
Right.
spring.
right.
Yeah.
That was the most important thing.
local control.
Yeah. Benefit for us, we are one-to-one at the sixth grade level.
Yes.
We get to use those other than just using it for the summit. And it is not replacing the teacher. I mean, it's just a supplement to what they do.
Yeah, we still have to go in every day. I thought you could just like give them a computer and, you know, sit back and put up your feet, but it's.
So overall, good.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah,
We
we like
wish we
it,
could change a few things.
yeah. But, I
But
mean,
I
with
think it's like
anything,
that with
any curriculum
anything.
you
It
get.
is.
Sure.
Yeah,
Study
sure.
Island, I'd like to change a
Yeah.
lot, you know,
Right.
but it's,
And I think you reflect every year and think, okay, we need to change this and this and this.
So we'll be even better with it.
And I think it's
Yeah.
Yes,
how kids are gonna learn it from now on.
absolutely.
We still have kids that say, we just want our book and paper.
That's good to a point, but they're gonna have to be able to
Right.
go into the real world.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Mr. Dalton, you've kind of been involved in this as well, especially early on.
Right. You know, I know that's something I would have talked with the group about. It wanted to just be a resource. You know, this is not, you know, they know, taught multiple years, most of us. You know, and they know what their standards were and the goals that they have, and they're able to go through and like you said, it'd be the same thing if we bought a new text. Hey, this doesn't align to what we're doing. We're gonna leave that part out.
right.
You know, I'm gonna have to supplement that from somewhere else, but that's the feedback I get as I visit with the teachers. You know, it's a great resource, it's a great tool.
But that's what
Access to
it
the
is.
technology is good for the students. But you know, you're able to present it, hey, if I want to present this lesson the way I've always presented it,
Right.
I'm going to. I know a lot of feedback on, it's easy to see, boy, not only my students struggle on this test, I can see exactly which part they struggled on and
And we can go back and touch on that in instruction.
get a lot of
Right,
resources to try it again a different way maybe.
Right. Absolutely.
And it does have videos so that they can view those on their own
Yeah,
too.
it's got some resources that we wouldn't have otherwise.
Right,
had.
access to.
Yeah.
And we can also add, so if we liked a resource that we had used in the past, we can add that into the students, they call it playlist. And we can manipulate that however we want to make sure that they're getting what we think they need. So,
Yes. Cows aren't responsible for global warming.
I appreciate you explaining that to those folks.
Oh, he came out of his room one day and he was like, can you?
yeah.
So we had a fun email back and forth with them. It was-
And they are always available.
They are, yeah.
They talk to Mrs. Swadesh once a week. We can call them anytime. They've been very good to talk with us if there were any issues or questions about cows or whatever.
And they have been on site at least once.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, they came and visited us this
Is that
winter.
December?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
December, yep. And then they provide the summer training, and they do a fall training, and they also do a spring training. But for the spring training, they had told us that when they came to see what we were doing, they noticed that we were fine and we didn't really need any additional scaffolding at this point. They told us we were.
They were impressed with our mentoring.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
Any questions for the group? It's our sixth grade team.
We can stay till 8. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you. Good seeing you.
All right, now we'll go to the MSBA.
Here's the thing.
Maybe we'll watch the MSBA.
Maybe, we may just watch it, we may not have any sound. Well,
Right over there.
there's So you think I can see that?
It's hot.
Yeah, it's
Ricky played it.
it's right here.
Yeah, go to the right.
It's up.
That's all the way up.
Yeah. So you can't see any better than I
I
can.
can't.
The way it jumps, I can't see anything. You'd think it's coming through my computer.
There we go. Maybe.
But it's not my computer.
Were you unplugged?
No. No, I unplugged that from the computer.
I'm not here just a second.
You did. If I unplug this and push play, it goes. So, yeah. It's gonna be loud.
Just unplug it. play
Just
on
unplug
your
it and go.
Missouri School Boards Association's board report for the month of March. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at school safety in the aftermath of a series of school shootings this year, including the tragedy at a Parkland, Florida high school last month that left 17 students and adults dead. School leaders and school safety officials throughout Missouri and the nation are now reevaluating district safety plans and discussing ways to ensure our schools remain among the safest places for our students, teachers, and staff. MSBA's Center for Education Safety offers what's called behavioral risk assessment training that's designed to help school officials identify and get help for troubled students in order to prevent a tragedy. Amy Bledsoe is an education safety coordinator for MSBA's Center for Education Safety, and she says the training is designed for teams within a school district who then set up a formal process to help students and staff report concerns.
So you have your team members who are trained, but anyone can bring information to either the team or to another faculty or staff member. Say a student wants to bring forth something that they're concerned about, then they would tell a teacher or a coach, whoever they're comfortable with, and that person would relay the information on to the administration and the team, and then the team gets to work and identifies.
So our mixed chorus performed 2 songs and did a sight reading, and they got an overall score of 3 and a sight reading score of 4. And then concert choir, which is the one you have to audition to get into, I'm in concert choir, got an overall score of 1 and a sight reading score of 3.
Very good. So the band performed today. We're not quite sure how they did. We haven't heard those results. Correct?
They posted on Facebook, but
Haven't seen it. Tomorrow, what's tomorrow?
tomorrow is solo and ensembles.
So what are you competing in?
I have 2 ensembles and a solo.
Okay. So you're gonna be busy tomorrow.
Yes.
So they were packing up last night. Band was packing up last night. They left early this morning, and Cameron's gonna turn around and go early in the morning again. So anyway, you know, our band and music program do a great job. We're blessed to have those instructors and those kids. I'm awful proud of them. I think you have a grandchild that was there today as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
So have you heard an update?
No.
Okay. So I hadn't heard when I left, so to come over. So anyway, we're pretty blessed to have the instructors that we have in those programs. So, and a little bit of safety. Monty and I have kind of walked around campus and looked at some things. We're going to, something that's going to change probably, hopefully in the next month. Monty's been working on bids. We're going to fence off this area in the back where you will not be able to drive through here. There'll be a walk-through gate. There will be a gate that we can open to pull buses back in here if we need to, or an ambulance back in here if we need to. But we're going to fence that off. Monty's been getting bids on that, so we hope to get that done fairly quickly. We just think that's just, we've shut down the road during the day. You can't come down the road during the day. You can't shut it down coming back, but it is a one-way street, so if they do read signs, you'd think they wouldn't come in. But we've shut it down coming down by our office, and that has worked pretty well. It's been kind of interesting to watch the first couple of days. People pull right up to it. Not sure if they thought it was going to open when they got close to it or what, but they backed up and went into the middle school parking lot. So anyway, should hopefully get that done. And then our safety committee has a new safety plan out. It's being reviewed by buildings, and then it's going to go back to the safety committee. So I'm sure they're going to have some recommendations for us as well. So we do have, and I don't have the date for this, I'll get it to you. Dr. Nash met about the docudrama today. She met with Ava PD, she met with Cox, she met with the fire department and the highway patrol. That's coming up fairly quickly. I'll get that date to you. It's going to be out back here on the road.
26 or something?
That may be right. Yeah.
29.
29. Okay. Thank you. So that's a pretty big deal. Cox Air Care is planning on bringing their helicopter. It was interesting. She called me over because 2 people that were here from Cox in Springfield used to work with my dad. The lady that's in charge of Air Care, or was scheduling for Air Care, was my dad's partner for like 15 years. So anyway, I got to see some people that I hadn't seen in quite a while. So anyway, that's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Dalton.
Each of our buildings, teachers and students are ramping up. We're getting ready for our MAP and EOC testing when that time approaches. Some other things going on. Elementary had an opportunity. Herman Blau, some of you may know him. He's an Ava grad. Does a really good job with some PD. Volunteered to come down and work with our grade level teams in elementary, trying to organize an opportunity to come back, follow up and do some more work with some of the other grade level teams. Just does a really good job. The process takes those teachers through as they look at their standards and prioritizing them and just working together as a team, deciding how they're going to try to intervene when need be, and just the kind of the plans they approach instructionally, taking those things on. Middle school, as we look towards testing, so trying to remember 5 years ago maybe, all the testing went online.
Yeah.
For the first time since that's happened, I think middle school is going to actually be able to take all their testing in their own building. All the years previous, when I was in that building as well, we just had to coordinate, and you would have 2 classes of kids that had to come over to the high school, which was fine. High school did a great job of working with middle school and coordinating all that. It's going to benefit those students to be able to take that in the setting they're used to, where they're used to working. So getting ready to do a trial run, making sure with the devices that all of that will work. So they're working towards that. High school, they've worked through and done some of the online practice tests that were available. Was also able to coordinate with Mrs. Bergdahl as students get ready to prepare for scheduling. A lot of that's going on this evening. Was able to coordinate with those meetings and talk to all of our current freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, remind them A+ requirements and expectations, and answer any questions that they had. And that's kind of where we are.
Okay.
Some of those items.
Thank you.
Next, we'll start with discussion and action items. And the first thing on the agenda is consideration approval of MOU with Douglas County Sheriff and Ava PD.
So I met with, it's probably been a month ago now, maybe. Not quite a month. 3 weeks probably, with Sheriff DeGase and Chief Johnson of Douglas County Sheriff and Ava PD. And since have met with County Commission once, met with the mayor, and then have met again with Sheriff DeGase today. So working on an MOU, or memorandum of understanding, that we can jointly hire a resource officer, a school resource officer. We've had that in the past. We had under grant, and that had gone away. So just the 3 entities share the cost of that. So I gave you an MOU. I uploaded an MOU for you to look at. It's rather lengthy. I begged, borrowed, and stole it from several different entities, but really tried to make it right for us. We changed a few minor things today, and I uploaded nothing big, just some minor wording changes today that made more sense for the sheriff's office, just because there's some laws they have to follow. So it would be an Ava School District employee that would be commissioned by Sheriff DeGase, which would allow that person to work inside the city and in the county. So if they needed to go on a home visit with a counselor, they could go, and they're authorized to do that. If there was just a city commission, they couldn't leave the city limits. So Sheriff DeGase has agreed to be part of that group that does the hiring and oversees and does the evaluation. The sheriff's office is going to do all of the training so that they can stay post, because they have to be post certified. He's going to provide all of the equipment needed besides the uniform for that officer. The city is going to provide the vehicle and the radios that would need, so they would have our radio as well as the county radio, as well as the city, that they would be able to access all of that on one radio, so that in the vehicle and on their person, so they'd have a portable. And then they will deduct their expenses, so that the total cost of the officer, so we'll use this number. It's about a $42,000 cost is what I'm thinking at this point, with benefits and everything to be a school employee. So we'll say the sheriff's office share is $14,000. Then they'll be able to deduct their expense from that $14,000. The city will be able to deduct their expense from that $14,000, and then the school will pick up the remaining portion of that cost. So I don't see it being over a $20,000 expense for the school district. I think it's the right thing to do. We have two gentlemen that are, when it comes to kids, they are on the same page every time, and they want to do what's best for kids. We have a great relationship already. If I call the sheriff's office, somebody's here. If I call Ava PD, somebody's here. They still have to get in their cars and they still have to get here. So it still takes a couple minutes. Officer Johnson is here almost every morning, but he can't be here all day. He has another job. They expect him to do something at the sheriff's office. So I think it's the right step to take. So we're excited about that. We will be the first ones to approve the MOU. The county commission, I met with them. They have not officially voted on it. City council has not officially voted on it, but everybody knows about it. But we would be the first one to take that step. So,
And everyone's spoken favorably.
yes, everybody's spoken favorably at this point. I would ask for you to approve the MOU, but allow me to make, if I need to make some changes to that to satisfy all three entities, I would ask that you give me that leeway. Okay?
So I should abstain?
No, I don't think so, because it's not you signing off on it, it's the county commission.
Okay.
And Mr. Ellison, and Mr. Henry. Your name's on it.
Okay.
You'll have to sign off on it.
So we need a motion to approve the MOU with Douglas County Sheriff and Ava Police Department under the understanding as well that Dr. Bell has the ability to negotiate terms as he sees fit.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Fleetwood makes the motion. Mr. Henry has a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carries 6-0.
So I will tell you, that was the easiest conversation I've ever had when I asked them to come to my office. I want to commend them. And, they both agreed to fight their bosses to get it done. They didn't have to.
So our mixed chorus performed 2 songs and did a sight reading, and they got an overall score of 3 and a sight reading score of 4. And then concert choir, which is the one you have to audition to get into, I'm in concert choir, got an overall score of 1 and a sight reading score of 3.
Very good. So the band performed today. We're not quite sure how they did. We haven't heard those results, correct?
They posted on Facebook, but
Haven't seen it. Tomorrow, what's tomorrow?
tomorrow is solo and ensembles.
So what are you competing in?
I have 2 ensembles and a solo.
Okay. So you're going to be busy tomorrow.
Yes.
So they were packing up last night. Band was packing up last night. They left early this morning, and Cameron's going to turn around and go early in the morning again. So anyway, our band and music program do a great job. We're blessed to have those instructors and those kids. I'm awful proud of them. I think you have a grandchild that was there today as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
So have you heard an update?
No.
Okay. So I hadn't heard when I left, so to come over. So anyway, we're pretty blessed to have the instructors that we have in those programs. So, and a little bit of safety. Monty and I have kind of walked around campus and looked at some things. We're going to, something that's going to change probably, hopefully in the next month. Monty's been working on bids. We're going to fence off this area in the back where you will not be able to drive through here. There'll be a walk-through gate. There will be a gate that we can open to pull buses back in here if we need to, or an ambulance back in here if we need to. But we're going to fence that off. Monty's been getting bids on that, so we hope to get that done fairly quickly. We just think that's just, we've shut down the road during the day. You can't come down the road during the day. You can't shut it down coming back, but it is a one-way street, so if they do read signs, you'd think they wouldn't come in. But we've shut it down coming down by our office, and that has worked pretty well. It's been kind of interesting to watch. The first couple of days, people pull right up to it. Not sure if they thought it was going to open when they got close to it or what, but they backed up and went into the middle school parking lot. So anyway, should hopefully get that done. And then our safety committee has a new safety plan out. It's being reviewed by buildings and then it's going to go back to the safety committee. So I'm sure they're going to have some recommendations for us as well. So we do have, and I don't have the date for this, I'll get it to you. Dr. Nash met about the docudrama today. She met with Gala PD, she met with Cox, she met with the fire department and the highway patrol. That's coming up fairly quickly. I'll get that date to you. It's going to be out back here on the road.
26 or something?
That may be right. Yeah.
29.
29? 29. Okay. Thank you. So that's a pretty big deal. Cox Air Care is planning on bringing their helicopter. It was interesting. She called me over because two people that were here from Cox and Springfield used to work with my dad. The lady that's in charge of Air Care or was scheduling for Air Care was my dad's partner for 15 years. So anyway, I got to see some people that I hadn't seen in quite a while. So anyway, that's all I have. All right, thank you. Mr. Dalton.
Each of our buildings, teachers and students are ramping up. We're getting ready for our MAP and EOC testing when that time approaches. Some other things going on. Elementary had an opportunity. Herman Blau, some of you may know him. He's an Ava grad. Does a really good job with some PD. Volunteered to come down and work with one of our grade level teams in elementary, trying to organize an opportunity to come back, follow up and do some more work with some of the other grade level teams. Just does a really good job. The process takes those teachers through as they look at their standards and prioritizing them and just working together as a team, deciding how they're going to try to intervene when need be, and just the kind of the plan as they approach instructionally, taking those things on. Middle school, as we look towards testing, so trying to remember 5 years ago maybe, all the testing went online.
Yeah.
For the first time since that's happened, I think middle school is going to actually be able to take all their testing in their own building. All the years previous, when I was in that building as well, we just had to coordinate, and you would have 2 classes of kids that had to come over to the high school, which was fine. High school did a great job of working with middle school and coordinating all that. It's going to benefit those students to be able to take that in the setting they're used to, where they're used to working. So getting ready to do a trial run, making sure with the devices that all of that will work. So they're working towards that. High school, they've worked through and done some of the online practice tests that were available. Was also able to coordinate with Mrs. Bergdahl as students get ready to prepare for scheduling. A lot of that's going on this evening. Was able to coordinate with those meetings and talk to all of our current freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, remind them A+ requirements and expectations, and answer any questions that they had. And that's kind of where we are.
Okay.
Some of those items.
Thank you.
Next, we'll start with discussion and action items, and the first thing on the agenda is consideration approval of MOU with Douglas County Sheriff and Ava PD.
So, I met with, it's probably been a month ago now, maybe,
Not quite.
not quite a month. 3 weeks probably, with Sheriff DeGase and Chief Johnson of Douglas County Sheriff and Ava PD. And since have met with County Commission once, met with the mayor, and then have met again with Sheriff DeGase today. So working on an MOU, or memorandum of understanding, that we can jointly hire a resource officer, a school resource officer. We've had that in the past, we had under grant, and that had gone away. So just the 3 entities share the cost of that. So I gave you an MOU. I uploaded an MOU for you to look at. It's rather lengthy. I begged, borrowed, and stole it from several different entities, but really tried to make it right for us. We changed a few minor things today, and I uploaded nothing big, just some minor wording changes today that made more sense for the sheriff's office, just because there's some laws they have to follow. So it would be an Ava School District employee that would be commissioned by Sheriff DeGase, which would allow that person to work inside the city and in the county. So if they needed to go on a home visit with a counselor, they could go, and they're authorized to do that. If there was just a city commission, they couldn't leave the city limits. So Sheriff DeGase has agreed to be part of that group that does the hiring and oversees and does the evaluation. The sheriff's office is going to do all of the training so that they can stay post, because they have to be post certified. He's going to provide all of the equipment needed besides the uniform for that officer. The city is going to provide the vehicle and the radios that would need. So they would have our radio as well as the county radio, as well as the city, that they would be able to access all of that on one radio. So that in the vehicle and on their person, so they'd have a portable. And then they will deduct their expenses, so that the total cost of the officer, so we'll use this number. It's about a $42,000 cost is what I'm thinking at this point, with benefits and everything to be a school employee. So we'll say the sheriff's office share is $14,000. Then they'll be able to deduct their expense from that $14,000. The city will be able to deduct their expense from that $14,000, and then the school will pick up the remaining portion of that cost. So I don't see it being over a $20,000 expense for the school district. I think it's the right thing to do. We have 2 gentlemen that are, when it comes to kids, they are on the same page every time. And they want to do what's best for kids. We have a great relationship already. If I call the sheriff's office, somebody's here. If I call Ava PD, somebody's here. They still have to get in their cars and they still have to get here. So it still takes a couple minutes. Officer Johnson is here almost every morning, but he can't be here all day. He has another job. They expect him to do something at the sheriff's office. So I think it's the right step to take. So we're excited about that. We will be the first ones to approve the MOU. The county commission, I met with them. They have not officially voted on it. The city council has not officially voted on it, but everybody knows about it. But we would be the first one to take that step. So,
And everyone's spoken favorably.
yes, everybody's spoken favorably at this point. I would ask for you to approve the MOU, but allow me to make, if I need to make some changes to that to satisfy all 3 entities, I would ask that you give me that leeway. Okay?
So I should abstain?
No, I don't think so, because it's not you signing off on it, it's the county commission.
Okay.
And Mr. Ellison, and Mr. Henry. Your name's on it.
Okay.
You'll have to sign off on it.
So we need a motion to approve the MOU with Douglas County Sheriff and Ava Police Department with, under the understanding as well that Dr. Bell has the ability to negotiate terms as he sees fit.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Fleetwood makes the motion. Mr. Henry has a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carries 6-0.
I will tell you, that was the easiest conversation I've ever had when I asked them to come to my office. I want to commend them. And, you know, they both agreed to fight their bosses to get it done. They didn't have to, but they both agreed that they'd go to battle for us if we needed to get it done. It was easy, but I want to commend those two gentlemen for, they were on board the second I proposed it. So.
Okay. Thank you. Next, dyslexia task force update is Mr. Dalton.
All right. So kind of wanted to give an update of where we are in this process, and that's hard to see. But I'm gonna, for me, this organized for me my thinking of what this process looks like for us in the school. You know, we knew we had to have a screening tool in place. You know, the state guidelines say kindergarten through third grade. We're going to do that kindergarten through fourth grade. We knew we had to have some structures in place for students that, you know, because we know this, no matter what screening tool we pick, there are going to be students that, well, that screening tool doesn't catch. Just from experience and in conversations as we've looked at this, we know there are students that, well, we know we need to do something more. You know, even though the screening tool may say this, so we knew that was something we wanted to do. This for me, and we are working on a document that's going to be specific to us. Honestly, what we're working on is we wanted to have enough information that somebody looks at that they know, hey, here's where I go next, here's what I do. We don't want to have so much information that it's overwhelming and you know, just too much information to operate with. So again, our working document, it's still a work in progress. So what I want to update you on right now is what we currently already have in place and are using. You know, the screening tool that we have, honestly, we meet the guidelines that are recommended. Is AIMS is a tool that we use at the elementary level. What we have identified, they're going to offer a product that we don't currently have, but we're going to have in place for next year. That K through 12, there's a screening tool available that we can use as an initial screener. When you say universal screener there, that's the terminology the state uses in describing that. For us, K through 4, every student is going to go through that screener at the beginning of the year. Now, from there, what that looks like, you know, teachers are going to be able, you know, there's a process in those building level teams. Hey, I know the screener says this, but based on what I'm seeing in the classroom, here are some concerns that we may want to look at additionally. So that is something, one of our subcommittees, we started with our bigger committee, and a lot of people put a lot of work and time into this. I probably should have started there. We've got parents, we've got grandparents, we've got teachers, we've got retired teachers. We have board members, community members involved in this process. A lot of people put in a lot of time. But you know, teachers, you know, they may see things in the classroom again. The screener, well, here's what that says, but here's an additional concern. Parents may be seeing things at home when they're working on home. Hey, this is, you know, something, it's not clicking the way that we think it should, or, you know, this doesn't, you know, here's what I think I'm seeing in this area, but why is it not the same as it applies to another content area possibly? So we have secondary tools. When I said we had an initial large committee, and we broke out. One of our subcommittees was additional screeners. And Dr. Nash has taken the lead on that. So we've identified CTOP is an acronym, which is Comprehensive Test of Phonological Processing. That's an additional screener. some of the programs we have already purchased that we're using offer some initial screeners that we're able to use. Our other subcommittee, Mrs. Swatters was leading, has to do with kind of this flow chart process, exactly what we want that to look like, to put in our teachers' hands to kind of guide them as these issues arise. Mrs. Henry has led the way as we started some of this discussion, a handbook to share with parents, and it has grown from there. And I'm going to let her share with you some of the things that she's working on, and it's been tremendous.
First, I want to brag on Aaron. If you all remember, it was just 2 months ago that I came and laid out a case about we need to be doing more. And within a month, he had put a committee together, and we've kind of gone from there. But it also struck me as I was doing work that unless you have a specific reason for knowing more about this, you probably don't. And I found a poem that is by an 11-year-old boy that I thought I'd just share with you real quickly. Only I can understand how it feels to read in front of my classmates and be terrified to make a mistake. Only I can understand the reason it takes forever to read a book when my classmates take a week. Only I can understand the words I write on the paper that no one else can read. Only I can understand what it's like to read a question when the words jump around the page. Only I can understand what it is like to work for hours when other kids only work for 30 minutes. Only I can understand ridiculous puzzles, absurd equations, extreme math, and the meaning of science because my brain sees things a different way. Only I can understand what it feels like to be judged for needing help. Kids who need help are not dumb, but only I can understand. I can understand because I'm dyslexic. Because I'm dyslexic, I can understand a lot of things that only I can understand. From a child, it gives you a real clear understanding of what it's like to be them. And so that's why we need to do more. But they asked if I would be in charge of communication, and I agreed. And the first thing I was going to do was to come up with a parent toolkit, I call it. And it needed to be divided by grade level. And the first one that we've done looks like this. And it's, for preschool and kindergarten. And I kind of pass this around and you all can look at it. And it goes through and gives specific things that parents can look at and understand if their child is not doing these things, that there's probably a problem. And we also thought it would be a really good idea, and we'll go ahead and develop those for 1st and 2nd grade, 3rd and 4th grade, and on up. But when you find out, if you don't have a clue, or maybe you sense that there's a problem, just sending out a letter saying that there's a screening issue, that, you know, your child's got a problem, that seemed a little cold. And so we thought the idea would be to have a meeting, maybe periodically with parents, to go over some of these issues and break it down that way. So that's the first thing that we did. And I say that's the first thing. Actually, before I got to that, it seemed like maybe there's another thing we need to work on. And so we developed a teacher toolkit as well, which gives general information that teachers need to look for if kids are struggling. And then we'll also do some things just by grade level too there. It kind of grew into maybe a bigger project than what we thought it would be. But at the same time, Sarah actually took these 2 items with her to the preschool conference that she was at last week. And there was a lady from DESE that was there speaking on dyslexia, and actually that's her job currently in DESE. And she was thrilled that this was the direction we were going, and said that every school needed to be doing this kind of thing. So again, I'll let you look at this too.
So I'm just going to make one comment. Mrs. Herter, when she was here in January, she said she wanted us to be the leader in this, correct?
Yes, I did.
So I've shared just briefly, so with SCA superintendents, just a little bit. They're all clamoring for me to bring them what we're doing. And as you know, I'm the president of Go CSD as well, and they are doing some dyslexia training. But nobody, I think, is preparing for it the way we are at this point. So I think we're getting there. I'm not going to say we're there yet, but I think we're headed in that direction, and we're going. So that impacts 50 schools. Go CSD impacts 50 schools, and SCA, not all members are part of Go CSD, most of them. So we're looking at impacting at least 50 plus schools with what we are heading towards. Obviously, each school district will deal with it how they deem, but I think just like us, we look at other school districts in certain things and see what they're doing and try to use their resources and I think they will start looking at us as well in this area to see what we're doing, because I think we are ahead.
Well, even in this time period, I know Mr. Dalton has already taken the lead on getting, we had a meeting and we went through several different systems that we could use, and picked out a system, and it's already in place. Teachers, there are at least 2 teachers in the elementary trained, and I think 2 or 3 aides in the middle school trained. And they've gone through the foundations of sound. They're working with kids, and I think it's going well. And I can't remember for sure what Mrs. Swadesh said, whether it was one student had gone up 3 grade levels or 2.
I can't remember either, but the amount of time was so short, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it really was.
The gains.
So I appreciate y'all listening to me 2 months ago.
You know better.
Thank you.
We do. We have, we currently have on staff Mrs. Stewart, K through 2 reading intervention. She's using it. It's being used right now.
Using BART.
BART, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, the BART program that we purchased. Read Naturally is another tool that is the web-based tool, and it's being used also. We've got some teachers doing some work after school in Bearsville with those programs. We've already posted to have a person for 3rd and 4th grade to offer the same reading intervention services during the school day.
Yeah, we placed that person, so we need Ginger Gaston. It's going to be doing 3rd and 4th grade reading intervention.
So it has, we've got a lot of those things in place, and we're able to use them, and we can go next year. We will have some experts we feel like on staff that have used it and taken students through those programs. And it's been interesting as we've talked to other districts. We are starting to get questions. Hey, what are you guys doing? We appreciate all the work.
What does it take to train? You said there you got some teachers trained. What does it take to train them?
It's really just in that system you go through. You actually kind of go through what the kids will be doing, but there's a step-by-step process. The first thing they're going to do is the foundations of sound, and you go through that, and there's little tiles that they do, because the best way for a dyslexic child to learn is multisensory. So there's these tiles, and they listen to things, and they see videos, and then what's really missing in their development is those beginning sounds that the rest of us kind of take for granted. The understanding of consonant, vowel, consonant, or an oo or an ah or an a, that kind of thing. And so they go through that, and then they go through the training, and it's just several hours, maybe 8 hours.
I think it's 8 hours initial training.
Is the goal to get all teachers trained?
No, I think it's going to be personal choice, isn't it, Aaron?
So we're going to have those reading intervention folks. They've got it. There's some aides involved. They're going to have it as well. So then what it would be if we have someone who's making arrangements to stay after school. And now what we're talking about, let me clarify, that Barton program specifically, that's the 8-hour training that just those folks that are going to be doing that particular program. All of our teachers are going to be going through some training as far as, hey, here are some strategies in the classroom. When you see this handbook, there are strategies that we can use tomorrow. that are good ideas for every student.
Every teacher will go through at least 2 hours of training.
Every teacher will have some of those strategies and tools specific to some of these more intensive programs. It's going to be the folks that are working intensively with that. We've got some people that I just thought when you were talking about it, if you have not, and you can pull these things up online, I have a dyslexia simulation just to see how some of those things work. Do that. It's interesting.
What percentage of students have this?
So we hear different numbers. Honestly, it depends on what group you talk to. So the number 20 to 30% are going to have reading difficulties. Now the last number I heard was of that group, it's 20 to 30% actually have dyslexia. Now, we're not going to be able to diagnose dyslexia. What we're doing is going to benefit any student that's a struggling reader. So currently, K through 2, I think we are serving, the number I had was between 25 and 27%. I'm sorry, I wouldn't give you a number, I was giving you a percentage. Between 20 and 30% of our kids are being pulled out.
Difficulty.
Yes.
So different degrees of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're not qualified to diagnose dyslexia and don't claim to be. We want to help all kids that have reading difficulties.
I was wondering where we're at right now compared to whatever the figure is and how it's doing.
I guess we don't know that for a fact because we can't diagnose it.
Right.
20 to 25% of our kids have reading difficulties.
An actual diagnosis, Mr. Treadway would take a neuropsychologist to actually diagnose a dyslexic student. But to your point and to your question, the reading struggles, of course, could be even bigger than 30%.
Is there a lady from Arkansas that we've utilized to help us with this?
We have.
That's got together too.
I've heard good things about her.
And she's been here.
Yes.
She's been here.
And she did some of our training. There are some states that they're a couple of years ahead in this process. I know in some of the Missouri guidelines, they'll make reference to some of the states that are a little further along. But no, there have been some folks who've been able to contact and been a great help. Hey, here's some things this worked great. This can work. Here are the changes we needed to make. But I know that was significant for me. Hey, these programs are going to benefit any student that's a struggling reader. Yes, and it is. It's varying degrees, and that's part of that process. So just because a student takes that benchmark and they pass it, we're going to continue to monitor that. We already have in place up into the high school. They're doing reading assessments. I mean, there are tools in place throughout. Not just teacher noticing something or parent noticing something. I mean, we're going to continually monitor that as they go.
When I was doing some research on that parent toolkit for preschool and kindergarten, I was astounded at things I just kind of took for granted, and I'm certain that your parents did these things too. The nursery rhymes, singing little songs, doing those things, and rhyming games, that those are critical to the development of reading skills. And it's astounding that I heard even second grade teachers telling me that their kids don't know nursery rhymes. Their kids can't play rhyming games. And I mean, we all know there's a wide variety of reasons for that, but those are things that we need to start doing earlier and earlier.
I noticed in you saying that, just from my kids going through preschool here, some of our preschool teachers, maybe all of them, I don't know for sure, are doing those nursery rhymes. I noticed in there, I thought, I'm guessing that's the reason, I kind of took it for granted too. But they do that in our preschool here. They have been for a while.
More to come. We'll update you as we keep moving forward. Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Yeah.
Next, we'll approve summer school 2018 dates.
Hopefully, we have no more snow. We are scheduled to get out of school on the 15th of May. So I'm asking you to approve summer school dates as follows. May 21st through June 1st will be K-6. We will have some work at the middle school and high school for course completion or credit recovery if needed, 7 through 12. The K-6 will be 521 to 6-1. And then K-12 will be 6-4 to 6-29. So that will be a full 20 days, time from 8 to 2:30. We will have breakfast and lunch will be provided free to all students. Busing will remain the same. If we need, as long as we need the number of routes we have, if we see a difference in ridership and we can combine a route, we will do that to save a little money. Teachers are currently developing their summer school class proposals to get kids to sign up, interested. We'll be getting that out to parents shortly. So we do that first 2 weeks just for the fact that, it's good, so we don't have a huge break, but we also have K-6 students that their parents have to figure out childcare. So it's a service to our community as well. 7th and 8th grade students hopefully can stay at home by themselves if they need to, but if they need to be here to complete coursework or to do credit completion, they can do that as well. So, any questions about that?
Okay. So we need a motion and vote taken to approve the summer school dates as Dr. Dahl presented. Mr. Johnson makes a motion. Do I have a second? Michael seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carries 6-0. Next, we'll discuss the OPA renewal.
All right, so as you know, we contract with OPA Food Service to provide our food services at the elementary and the middle school and high school. I think this is year number 7. Okay, this is year number 7 that OPA has been in the school district. There was an initial 5-year contract and then there was a renewal. So this is the second year on that 5-year contract, on this 5-year contract. OPA I think does a good job for us. Carla was a district employee prior to OPA coming in, and now she currently works for OPA as the manager. She also seems to work for other school districts as well because she has to train their new managers quite a bit. So we appreciate Carla. So as you know, in the last probably the last 6-7 years, nutrition guidelines have changed. So I was asked some information, so I just want to provide you some information, and the board can decide where they want to move from here. But I think 2010-11 was the last year that it was district operated. Am I correct on that? Okay, so and we have to. There's no way to figure in inflation in this, so I can't give you those numbers, but I can just give you some factual numbers. The district used district resources of $114,234.87. That's what the district used in district resources to fund our food service program. No, let me take that back because I had to add 12,000 to that. It's 126,000 is what it cost the district to run our food service program at that time. So last year in 2016-17, it cost the district $142,821.72. But I need to preface that by saying when new regulations came in, we had to start changing our recipes, and those are federal guidelines. Michelle Obama pushed that through. Our food costs have gone up since that time because of the whole grains and the food that we have to prepare. And I would say statewide, some would say the food isn't as tasty as it used to be. I don't know that that's an OPA issue. I don't know. I mean, I've operated food service programs that were strictly district, and obviously now have contracted. We did, when we moved this, I will tell you, when we moved from district to OPA, we had 17 employees, but the agreement was that if you were a district employee and you wanted to stay a district employee, you were allowed to do that. We still have 12 district employees working under Carla in the food service. So we're down from 17 to 12. That is a significant expense. It costs a whole lot more for a district employee than it does for an OPA employee, because we pay more and our benefits are better. Am I saying that correctly? So.
How do we choose now when we hire someone? Whether they're a candidate?
If they leave, the agreement was if they leave as a district employee, then Carla has to hire them as an open employee. They come off our rolls. We don't replace a district for a district. We only, if a district employee leaves, like Kathy Green is a district employee. And she's retiring, so Carla will have to hire an open employee. We did cut we had 2 district employees leave last year. We did not replace them. Am I correct in that statement? So, but I know there's been questions from some board members, so I want to open that up for discussion. If you have any questions for me or Carla.
So is it just the renewal?
This will be a renewal for 1 year, yes.
I know that Mr. Strong, he couldn't be here tonight. He wanted to be in on the discussion, so I'd just like to request that we table it for 1 month and bring it back up.
What is your recommendation?
Carla does a good job. I mean, but if the board wants to discuss it, I'm okay with that. I mean, Carla put in some things that she's done this year in your board packet. I uploaded that. She and I had that conversation in the fall, probably. We had some student groups. We did some taste testing, take some recommendations from kids to try to get their general interest. We started back, what's it called in the high school, where they grab and go? Is that what it is?
Open to go.
Open to go, sorry. Kind of like grab and go.
For lunch, yeah.
So where they can grab and instead of having to go into the cafeteria, we do that out here.
Out here in the common area, yes.
So,
And July.
yeah, and they do like that. So we've tried to do some things to improve, but I'm fine either way. I'm happy with the progress we're making because I think we're trying to improve some things. I know Carla works very hard. She's been here for a long time and is doing our best. She's doing her best to try to meet the district needs and improve. So, but I am absolutely okay. We're not in a time crunch to renew it. So we could delay it a month. And I didn't mention Mr. Strong isn't here, didn't come because he didn't want to. He's having a grandbaby right now, so.
So we need to either approve another year or postpone.
Yeah, or just lay it over. It's up to you. It's wishes.
We can discuss it.
I'm good with it.
With tabling it?
No, with just going with it. I mean,
I'm okay either way, I guess, because you said we're not in any big time
Do
crunch.
we-
Should we do it?
Are you happy with Oakland? I guess you see anything better out there? Any other options that are better?
No, that's not fair to Carla because she's an employee. I don't want to put that in. So that's who pays her. Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I didn't.
Well, I can't ask you, you don't know.
I know, I just hate putting her on the spot.
I understand that.
I like working for OPA. They do what's best for the students.
Something that I didn't mention. So, Carla, you tell me if I'm wrong with this. I believe we would have to have a dietitian on staff if we did it ourselves.
Probably,
Correct?
because you're gonna have to do all the menus, and they do a lot of work.
Because of the recipe side of it to meet the federal
The
guideline.
DESI guidelines are, yes, difficult.
So I don't know what that looks like. You know, I don't know how many, there are some food service directors that are dietitians. We currently don't have a dietitian
Right.
on staff.
Right.
So Carla would, I don't.
There's just so many, there's a weekly guideline, a daily guideline for calories, so much this, so much that, fruit, vegetables, you know, it's unreal.
It's becoming increasingly more difficult.
Can we just get the ice cream cups back?
Actually, we're gonna have ice cream out of heart.
All right, we're done.
We can offer some of that stuff after the point of sale.
Cameron's good, so ice cream cups are coming back a la carte. She's good to approve.
Oh, yeah.
My thoughts are that I think Carla does a wonderful job. She's, I think, part of the reason why it works so well down here. And, you know, we talked about the employees of OPA not getting as much as what we, as a district, give the employees of the district. I would just like to see some of that profit that OPA gets be returned to the community in the form of better wages and benefits for the workers in the cafeteria. And I'd like to see possibly maybe a little more choice on fresh food, or, you know, bringing that in. That's kind of the way I look at it. I'd just like to look at options, but I think Carla does a wonderful job. I think she does.
So, the profit side, I don't think Carla or either one could deal with. The fresh fruit or fresh food side, you could obviously meet with your manager and talk to.
We do a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables. I don't know what you mean by fresh, because we provide a fresh fruit every day, and then they have broccoli, carrots, cauliflower, yeah, look at that. This is the reaction I get.
You bring it in, they don't eat it.
Right, and that's a big expense, guys, it really is. Fresh fruit and vegetables are expensive.
They are expensive.
No ice cream unless you eat your vegetables.
I'll eat a banana if I get ice cream.
So,
Do you guys want to go ahead and vote on it, or wait till next month?
So your recommendation,
we can go either way. I mean, we're going to continue, if we're with OPA, we're going to continue to improve. You know, Carla and I are going to continue to work, and we'll work with her supervisor to continue to improve. If you want to wait a month and talk, and we can meet with your supervisor and express those concerns and see what they say, we can bring that to you, back to you next month too.
So your only option is either OPA or go district? Really?
Yeah. And I can't tell you if we went district operated, I can't sit here and tell you right now if it'd save money or cost more. I don't have that knowledge at my fingertips. I mean, I guess I could sit down and do some projections, but I would need some help because I've never run a food service department.
You think we could provide any better?
Well, you know, the guidelines are the guidelines, and there's nothing.
You have to follow.
I would have to follow them, whether it's OPA or our own. I'd have to hire a Carla or try to hire Carla back, but she'd still have to follow those same federal guidelines. There would not be a choice. They've talked about relaxing those over the years, and not much has happened.
I might say prior to OPA, we had one choice. Now the kids have 4 choices.
Okay, that's good information.
you said prior to OPA?
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Now they have 4 choices. You know, so if there's something they don't like, there's always something there that they can find. And that's in both buildings.
I agree with Mr. Treadway. I would like to give our employees more money, but I have a funny feeling that OPA's probably doing everything nutritionally and tastefully that they possibly know how, and I don't know if we can beat it, so.
They do this nationwide.
So they are a nationwide contractor?
Yes, they're in 6 states now.
6 states.
And gonna open
That's
about
pretty-
100 more schools this fall.
Wow. So that means you're gonna have to hire.
Nebraska, Kansas,
A lot more
Arkansas,
people.
Michigan, Oklahoma.
Well, I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion on the table to approve OPA renewal for an additional year. Have a second?
I'll second it.
Kenny seconds. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, raise your hand. Carries 6-0. Next, we will do, not doing F.
We are doing that. It's
You're
just
doing a different F.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as I said before, we have, we originally thought we would replace the roof on the 4th grade and the high school, middle school cafeteria. They're the next ones up. That would finish off our roofing project. But we had them scanned by our new insurance company came and Monty met them at night because they have to scan them at night and they are dry. They don't have any wet areas. They still need to be done because they're going to get wet pretty quick because they're old roofs, but they're currently not wet. So we feel like we have a more pressing need. So the elementary gym and the elementary music room, those units are 23 years old because they were original to the building. We currently have only one, so the gym has 2 units. Monty had a company that scavenged all the parts out of one to make the second one work, so we have 1 unit working in the middle school gym. That's what I meant, yes, elementary gym, thank you, sir. The elementary music room is currently working, but we've had lots of trouble with it over the last several years too. So our recommendation is that we put off the roof for now. Not saying we can't do it next year, but we put off the roof for now until I get a better idea of where we are budget-wise. And we approve Wood Mechanical out of Kabul. We had 3 bids to replace. They were the ones that originally put these units on 23 years ago, to replace all 3 units. So it's 2 10-ton units and 1 5-ton unit on the elementary gym and music room for a total cost of $28,400. That will, a couple things, to tie them into our current system, so where he can control the temperatures and make them shut, he can control whether it's heat or air and set points, is an additional $17,000. These units will be able to be hooked up to our system, but they're not going to be hooked up yet. So they'll be compatible. They won't be hooked to the system. We're not going to spend that extra $17,000 yet. It seems like a lot of money for 3 units at this point. So we may be able to look at something a different way at some point. So they'll be compatible to do it. We're just not going to do it today. So I'm asking you to approve a bid to Wood Mechanical from Kabul for $28,400.
Teachers and parents, can I have your attention, please? At this time, parent-teacher conferences will conclude. I want to thank our parents for attending tonight. Teachers, as soon as you finish your session that you are currently in, you may go home and have a wonderful spring break tomorrow. Also remember, please put in your sign-in sheet as parents who attended your meeting today. Thank you.
So at this time, I'll entertain a motion and vote for Wood Mechanical for $28,400 for the elementary gym and music room. Mr. Henry makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Johnson seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carries 6-0. Next, MSBA policy update.
So this is not for approval, these are only for your review over the next month. I'll ask you to approve them with any modifications next month. We have some policies and regulations. We have IGBD, which is critical. It's meeting a state law mandate for at-risk students. IKF is graduation requirement. Every student in high school now has to take basically a citizenship test, and that's what that change is. JHD is student guidance and counseling, has in part to do with our suicide awareness requirements. JHDF is critical, and it's a suicide awareness and prevention procedures. It just talks about how we're going to deal with possible suicidal students. Procedures are DJFA, it's a federal cash management, so that's all Mr. Dalton in title funds. He has to, some different ways he has to manage those title funds, and Mrs. Sterling gets to help him do that on a regular basis. IGBD goes with our, is critical, but it also goes with our at-risk students. JHD is being removed, it's no longer needed. And then IGD, so since forever, you had to be with MSHA, Missouri State High School Activities Association, you had to be enrolled in school in at least 80% of the courses to participate in extracurricular activities, meaning district band. That's anything that's MSHA sponsored. District choir, football, FBLA, any of those that are governed by MSHA, you had to be in 80% of the time. So there has been pressure to allow homeschool or private school students to be involved with public school in those extracurricular activities. They can currently, a homeschool student or even a private school student, has every right to participate in band. They can come to band class, they can take part in marching festivals, they just can't compete at the district and state level. Or they can come to an art class, or they can pick and choose. And they have every right to come as long as they're a resident of our student. They just can't compete at the state level, district or state level. So MSHA has changed their guidelines from, there are some legislators in the state that have tried to disband MSHA, so they're now leaving it up to the school. There are some guidelines in there, but they are basically leaving it up to the local school board or the local school to decide. I think it's 2 hours. They have to at least be enrolled in 2 hours. That's the one requirement. If the district chooses to do that, or the district can choose to still have them enrolled 80% of the time, or really anything in between. So that's homeschool, private school, charter school, anything. I have some concerns about that. I will tell you that just eligibility issues, because you still have to be passing 6 of your 8 classes as well, or 6 of your 7 classes as well, of us being able to actually regulate eligibility. There are some fantastic homeschool programs, and whether they be an individual parent or a group. And I believe it is every parent's right to make the decision what to do with their child. I think there's some things that go along with that as well. Springfield has a homeschool team for basketball, basketball, football, that sort of thing. And some homeschool groups that compete in band and other issues as well. So I know there's some differing opinions probably on this board about where we go with that. I will give you a recommendation prior to our next meeting. At this point, my recommendation would be to keep our guidelines the way they are. But obviously, I want to talk to our administrators, talk to our athletic director about that before I would ask you to approve that anyway, just like we do with all policies. We did have a parent ask us about that last month, I think. Mr. Dalton talked to, and I talked to briefly, but anyway. We do have some homeschool students that come in for a couple of our classes, which are absolutely fine with. They don't compete at the district or state level. So, that is it.
All right, thank you. This concludes everything on our agenda tonight. The next, the reorganization meeting is set for April 17th at 6:15 in the boardroom. And our next regular board meeting is set for April 17th at 6:30 in this boardroom.
The executive session, depending on the outcome of the election, will be either at 5:30 or after the regular board meeting. We'll set that.
Okay. I have a motion to adjourn. Michael makes a motion, have a second. Mark seconds. All those in favor? Carries 6-0. Thank you.